Meteorologists are at a loss to explain what is causing this weather and why it has taken quite a while.
It is the agenda for the 21st century you're living in today. For a brave new world where everything that you cherished and held true will no longer exist.
According to the Associated Press, Southerners are beginning to feel the effects of a drought that is continuing past its 8th month. Among the damages, water fountains have dried up, beaver dams have been demolished, and drinking water in one southern town is turned brown. Watering lawns and washing cars have been restricted in parts of the South, and more restrictions are expected if below normal rainfall continues through the rest of 2016. The EPA has reported low streams and dropping reservoirs, which may not be sufficient for getting residents through the winter.
Thailand's fish are disappearing, threatening a multi-billion-dollar industry. Years of overfishing killing off stocks in the Gulf of Thailand, prompting fishermen to head out to protected waters and boost their catch illegally. Bangkok is cracking down on lawbreakers, but environmental groups say they're just part of a far wider problem.
What's often underreported and not even calculated into the solutions of returning the fish population is the impact of climate change upon the Gulf of Thailand. Now, warming oceans means that fish are disappearing because they're losing not only their habitat, but their food source, and they're being pushed into deeper water where they feel more comfortable.
The EU has warned Thailand to clean up its fishing industry or face a ban on seafood exports. Bangkok has responded by ordering boats to register and banning those that don't meet a certain standard. It's also sunk dozens of illegal vessels to spur new coral growth. At stake, about $7 billion a year.
Now, a significant part of this goes to the EU, around $500 to $600 million every year.
An open sinkhole on Borellis Road is spewing a terrible smell in the area.
Everybody's sick, nauseous, throwing up.
Frankly, we're concerned for our health, the safety of our health, and the health of the community.
Albuquerque Water Authority crews have covered up the hole in the road with plastic, but residents say the smell still seeps through. Those living nearby say it ruined their Thanksgiving.
We had 30 family members here, and some of them actually left, apologized, and said they couldn't eat in the smell.
Göstermeye çalışıyorum. Daha yakından görebilmeniz için biraz yakınlaştırdım. 28 Kasım 2016 tarihi Pazar gecesi saat 2:20 suları şu anda. Saat 2:20. Görmüş olduğunuz cisim Esenler mağdurunda kayıt altına alınmış şu anda. Benim de birçok vatandaş şu anda birlikte yetkililere durumu aktardık.
The United States will experience its first transcontinental solar eclipse in 99 years, and it doesn't happen until next year.
I'm just looking forward to seeing it myself. You know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime viewing area.
But enthusiasts are already making plans.
We've had calls from people in Europe, South America, and so people will come from all over the world to see this and chase this eclipse.
The best place to see the eclipse on the East Coast? Columbia, South Carolina. Anyone within a 100-mile radius of the city will experience 2.5 minutes of pure darkness in the middle of the afternoon. 12 states are along the path of the eclipse, which will travel from Oregon to South Carolina on Monday, August 21st, 2017.
Citywide, there's a massive effort to have all kinds of events throughout the Midlands of South Carolina so that people will have options, places to view them, things to do.
Which means a major boost in spending, from dining in restaurants to visiting museums and weekend stays at hotels.
I'd say 75 to 80 rooms are booked up right now at this time.
That's 80 out of 130 rooms, a year in advance. The Columbia Chamber of Commerce hopes that with nearly 1 million tourists coming to see the eclipse, the economic impact will be powerful.
Australia's outback has more kangaroos than people. Some think that makes it perfect for storing nuclear waste. This is some of that waste currently stored in a warehouse near Sydney. What's inside these barrels, say those responsible for it, is virtually harmless.
Nuclear waste can be safely managed. You can see here that this is 60 years worth of low-level waste. This is how it's passively stored.
The so-called low-level waste is a byproduct of processes like these, where isotopes are made for use in medical diagnosis and treatment. The Lucas Heights facility near Sydney also holds more serious medium-level waste, but it's running out of space, and in an urban area, building new storage facilities locally isn't popular. So Australia's government plans to move the current and future waste to a remote part of South Australia. The plans, though, have outraged some of the few who do live nearby, including Indigenous people with a long history in the area.
You know, they keep saying it's really, really safe, but accidents do happen, and we don't want an accident happening. We don't want it whatsoever in a pristine, beautiful country.
The fear is that land with cultural and spiritual significance is poisoned, because that has happened before.
There is a painful history to this part of Australia, one with which the current controversy has echoes.
In the 1950s, another area around Maralinga in South Australia was used to test nuclear weapons. For decades, Aboriginal people couldn't return to their traditional land. But some who live in the nearest town to the proposed waste site think comparisons with Maralinga are ridiculous. They are not worried about the waste, and they welcome the 15 jobs and investment that would come with it.
We've got a tiny little town of only 250 people, and we've got a multi-million-dollar project. This is something that we've got to endorse.
The low and medium level waste site is proposed by Australia's national government. Separately, the South Australian state government plans to hold a referendum on storing imported high-level waste created by other countries' nuclear energy plants. That could generate many tens of millions of dollars of income, but it would also generate even more opposition.
A little more insight on this. Bring in Molly Hooper, Capitol Hill reporter for The Hill. Molly, nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
All right, so what do you make of this recount effort? Is this a Jill Stein vanity project, or is she simply a shill for the Clintons?
Well, there have been reports out there, and we've known about the fake news that's going on. However, there are people who are saying that Hillary Clinton is secretly behind this. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case, but she is raising, Jill Stein is raising a lot of money for this recount effort from Democrats.
This is about the recount in Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton conceded the election when she called me just prior to the victory speech and after the results were in. Nothing will change. Congresswoman, doesn't he have a point? I mean, isn't this exactly what Democrats were warning Donald Trump not to do?
Several things. First of all, George Bush conceded back in 2000, and we saw the direction that the election changed. We have a free country. People are able to do what they're going to do. I don't think in the end that anything is going to change from where we are. The fact that it is Michigan has paper ballots, but it is the recount process is part of who we are as a democracy. If it gives people more confidence that what happened, then we need to let it move forward.
First off, Dr. Stein, thank you for coming on the show to talk about this. What is your reaction to Trump's scathing statement about you?
Well, I'm really glad he's talking about it, and I feel honored that he's blaming the recount effort on me. I think this is clearly a grassroots, very people-powered campaign, powered by over 110,000 donors, contributing on average $45. And for his information, this is actually all going into a dedicated and segregated account so that it can only be spent on the recount campaign.
Yesterday, the Clinton campaign joined an effort started by Green Party candidate Jill Stein for an official recount in Wisconsin. Hillary Clinton's general counsel said that they were doing this without any actionable evidence of hacking the voting system. Do you support that recount as well?
It's taking place. The Green Party has the legal right to do it. We have recounts probably almost every election. There's a recount. No one expects there to be profound change, but there's nothing wrong with going through the process. The issue right now, it seems to me at this particular moment in American history, is whether Donald Trump is going to keep faith with the promises that he made to the American people. As you'll remember during the campaign, Donna, he talked about the fact that he would take on the pharmaceutical industry and lower drug prices in this country. And I'm a little bit nervous, but I haven't heard too much about that since he's been elected. He said that Medicare should be able to negotiate prices with the drug companies, that we should be able to import cheaper medicine from Canada and other countries. I look forward to doing that. He made a very big deal about saying that he was the only Republican candidate in the primary to say that he would not cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Let's see if he keeps his word, and many of us are going to demand that he does keep the promises that he made.
I know you will, but just to follow up on the recount, Trump senior advisor Kellyanne Conway tweeted this. She said, "Look who can't accept the election results. Hillary Clinton supporters call for a vote."
This is exactly the issue. Nobody cares.
A law enforcement official tells CNN the Secret Service is considering renting a floor in the tower as Trump prepares to take office, which means New Yorkers are preparing for a new reality.
The holiday shopping season kicking into high gear. Yet the shopping mecca of Fifth Avenue in New York City is now a security zone to protect its famous residents, President-elect Donald Trump and his family. And it's presenting unprecedented challenges and costs. According to New York officials, the city is spending more than $1 million a day to secure Trump's residence on the famous avenue. Nearly 100 NYPD officers are assigned to secure the outside of Trump Tower and patrol the area. The busy intersection near it is restricted by metal barricades, portable roadblocks, and concrete barriers.
In the modern world with the security dynamics we face today, we have never had a situation where a president of the United States would be here on such a regular basis.
The steep costs won't necessarily drop once Trump moves into the White House, since his wife Melania and their 10-year-old son Barron plan to stay at their Trump Tower home until the end of the school year.
We've been planning this with an eye towards how we keep New Yorkers safe and to minimize disruptions to all other New Yorkers, tourists, public transportation, and those who need to make commercial deliveries in the area surrounding Fifth Avenue.
Kellyanne, a report in the Washington Post says that President-elect Trump has only received 2 classified intelligence briefings since his election, and he's turned down many daily opportunities for briefings. Is this true? Has he turned down the opportunity to get classified intelligence briefings?
So he is receiving classified intelligence briefings, and the president-elect is also receiving information through his personal and on-the-phone meetings with over what's now 41 world leaders.
The corporate state knows exactly what to do with armed and violent people. We've been doing it to everybody across the globe, and we need to stop. We need to wake up, my relatives. If you look at what's happening, we need all the brothers and sisters from Occupy, Black Lives Matter, anybody who doesn't fit within that demographic that Trump represents.
And nearly 10,000 civilians fled battered eastern Aleppo for government-held districts and a Kurdish-controlled area over the weekend. According to the Syrian Observatory of Human Rights, at least 6,000 people went to the neighborhood of Sheikh Massoud, the rest to government-controlled Aleppo zones. Meanwhile, the Russian military on Sunday reported noticeable progress in the evacuation of civilians. It said over 900 civilians, including 119 children, left the militant-held area of Jabal Bidaru in the past 24 hours using corridors provided by Russia and the Syrian authorities. And around 250,000 civilians are believed to remain besieged in the rebel-held eastern part. And once a commercial and industrial hub, Aleppo has seen some of the worst fighting in Syria's nearly 6-year conflict.
We do stand on the edge of a great new era.
We built this great industrial powerhouse.
The whole idea of industrial capitalism in the West, government that was going to invest in infrastructure.
It is a time for pathfinders and pioneers.
What happened to the American century?
The share of income that we put into infrastructure has gone down starkly.
If you travel around the country, there's just not that much that's new.
What happened to America's ideal of progress?
All these things that had been established after the Great Depression fell apart.
You'll see that whole streets are just closing down.
A community that's undereducated, underemployed.
Baltimore was a blue-collar town. Now the air quality is wonderful because there's no industry here anymore. It's beyond light.
Detroit had a population of about 2 million people in 1950. It's now a little over 600,000.
huge percentage of the budget goes to the military. This is an economy that's based to a large degree on killing people.
If you were to cut the military budget in half, we'd have a depression in the United States.
So they're literally working full-time and making poverty wages.
You have 1,600 vacant houses. It's insane.
They said, let's save a few dollars and pump the water in from the Flint River.
Decades and decades of being ignored.
Americans are finding themselves in a desperate situation.
They're the new slaves. A lot of talented people here, but you will never know because of the reputation we got.
If you're an entrepreneur right now in America, the last thing you want to do is take risks. This is not a world I want to take risks in.
America is not the pillar of democracy and freedom that it was once seen to be.
Here we are, naked in front of the world. It's a real tragedy.